everyone, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. I am here for my February TBR. As you can see, I am all decked out for February and Valentine's Day. I have my little love sign back there and this red garland with hearts on it. Plus, I had to break out a red shirt and the red lipstick. I had to go for the vibe, you know what I mean? So February is going to be a very busy and very exciting month for me, both reading wise and my personal life and my career. So basically the entire second half of February into the beginning of March, I will be out of town for a very exciting opera gig. So I am going to be pre-filming some things before I leave for that. So let's go ahead and jump into this TBR. I am so excited for this video as well as the last video that I just filmed. So first and foremost, we have the Novellathon that is happening from February 6th to February 12th. This is a Valentine's Day themed romance novella readathon that I am co-hosting with some of my best bookish friends ever. We have Ava from Ava's Romance Books, Samantha from Books with Samantha, and Tiffany from Tiff Talks Pages. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm just like so giddy talking about this readathon because I love my co-host so much, as well as just romance novellas. So if you missed it, the video that I posted before this one was all about that readathon, as well as recommendations, my TBR, giving you guys all the details in terms of, you know, the prompts and all of the templates that Tiffany made. Definitely check out that announcement video for more details because I could just gush and go on and on about it. So I do have a couple of read-alongs and book clubs that I want to talk about. First up, we have the Blushing Bluestocking Society. So for February, we're going to be reading The Duke Gets Even by Joanna Shupe. Oh my God, we are here for the Duke of Lockwood and Nellie's romance finally. This is book 4 in Joanna Shupe's Fifth Avenue Rebels series. So our live show discussion for this book is going to be Saturday, February 11th. I believe at 8 p.m. Central Time. I will finalize that time with Lisa and put the correct information either here on the video or down in the description below. But I am so pumped about this book, you guys. Like, you have no idea. We have been waiting. We have been waiting for this romance for so long. But this is a Gilded Age romance series, and Joanna Shupe is one of my favorite authors ever, in case you don't know. So yes, very excited for that live show. Then we have the Grisha-verse read-along or book club. Now, this was put together by Carrie from Booked for Romance, and I'm gonna read off all of my amazing co-hosts because I do not want to forget anybody. We have Christy from Christy Reads a Lot. We have Crystal from Crystal's Bookish Life. We have Lacey from Lacey Book Lovers. And finally, we have McKay from Oh Hey, It's McKay. Just wanted to make sure I didn't forget anybody, but yes, we are going to be reading the Six of Crows duology in anticipation of season 2 of the Shadow and Bone series that Netflix has been putting out. I really enjoyed season 1, so I'm very excited to see what season 2 has to offer because we're finally bringing Nikolai into the story. He's one of my book husbands. I love Nikolai so much. But yeah, I read this duology for the first time in 2020. Really loved it. So I'm very excited to reread it. The live show for this one is going to be February 26th. Let me get the right time here. Again, I don't want to forget anything. So the live show for this one is going to be 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we will be discussing this duology as well as theories of what we think is going to be included in season 2 of the Netflix show. By the way, season 2 I believe is premiering at some point in April, but I can't quite remember the exact date. Then another read along we are doing is SJM along. For February, we are reading A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. Look at this cover. I finally got my dust jackets from the Dusty Shop for the ACOTAR series. I'm in love. I'm in love. Look at Nesta and Cassian being the icons that they are. Oh my God, this is my favorite book of the ACOTAR series. I can't wait to reread it. Yeah, oh my God. Like look at the back of that. Like it's just so beautiful. I could just go on and on about this cover and how amazing this book is. I just love Nesta and Cassian and the fantasy plotline that's going on in this book as well. So the live show for this one is also going to be on February 26th, but this is a slightly different time. This one is going to be at 6 p.m. Central Time, whereas the Six of Crows is happening 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so let's get into the rest of my TBR for February. So because, like I said earlier, I'm gonna be out of town for a good chunk of February, I'm not reading a ton of books that I physically own because I'm just gonna bring my Kindle with me and have a fabulous time. I have so many audiobooks on my phone and I have Kindle Unlimited, like, plus my library, so I have like unlimited resources for books. But I do have a buddy read with Ava from Ava's Romance Books. We're going to read Fearless Duke, which is the 6th and final book in the League of Dukes series, which is a historical romance series by Scarlett Scott that we have absolutely been loving this past year in 2022. Nobody's Duke made my top 10 historical romances of the year. I absolutely love that book. That's the one that has vibes of Again the Magic by Lisa Kleypas, if you're curious. Next up, because February is also known as Pharaoh Feb or Fantasy Romance February, I do have maybe only, I really only have one fantasy romance on here. I do want to incorporate more fantasy romance into my February TBR, as well as just my TBR in general, because that's a subgenre that I really want to dive more deeply into. So one that I have on my TBR is A Strange Hymn by Laura Thalassa. This is book 2 in her Rhapsodic series, or I think it's also known as the Bargainer series. I loved book 1. Oh my god, it gave so many Akamath like Faysand vibes while also being its own unique story. I'm very intrigued to see where the series goes because there's some like really weird and twisted things going on with like the villain of the story. Very intrigued to see how that series is going to continue. So next up we have All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata. So while I do own this physically, I did borrow the ebook off of Kindle Unlimited like right before it was taken off of KU, because now it's about to be published by a bigger publisher, whereas Mariana Zapata usually self-publishes her books. So yeah, I just need to get to it because I've been really looking forward to getting to this one. This is definitely a fan favorite amongst Mariana Zapata fans, and I also just want to be able to return it to Kindle Unlimited. So yes, very, very excited. I just know that this one has to do with Aurora and Rhodes. It has a Grumpy Sunshine vibe to it, and I think Aurora ends up spending some time in this small town in Rhodes's like garage or some type of property that he owns. So this just sounds really amazing because Mariana Zapata knows how to write a grumpy hero for sure. Next up, we're doing it, guys. In February, I am finally reading Heartless by Elsie Silver. So the audiobook for this one finally released about a week or so ago, and I have never used an Audible credit so fast. Oh my god, I have been anticipating the release of this audiobook, and now is the time. I have no excuse now. The audiobook is out. I have this amazing physical copy that Lizelle gifted to me during the Christmas holiday in December. Oh my god, I'm just so excited to finally get to Kate and Willa's romance. This is like everyone's favorite romance at the moment, so I have high expectations. I'm so excited because I also really enjoyed Flawless. When I read that back in October, I gave that one 5 stars, so I just have a very strong feeling that I'm gonna love this book even more than Flawless. Next up, I have Seventh Circle by Tate James. This is book 1 in her Hades series. So I read her Madison Kate series back in like October of 2021, so it's definitely been a while since I've read her books, and I really liked that series because it's a Why Choose romance series that has this really great romantic suspense vibe to it. And this series I've heard is even better, and this one has to do with our heroine. I can't remember anyone's names, but she basically like runs this criminal empire, and so it's her romance with, I believe, three men, I'm pretty sure, as was the case with the Madison Kate series. There were 3 heroes in that one as well. All of Tate James's audiobooks, as far as I know, are on Hoopla, so they're very readily available to me. Very excited to check out this series. Next we have Puck Me Secretly by Odette Stone. This is book 1 in a hockey romance series that I've heard amazing things about. I know a lot of people really loved Home Game, which I believe is book 2 in the series. But this one has a really fun premise. It reminds me of Can You Keep a Secret by Sophie Kinsella, because the premise is that the hero and heroine are on a plane together and things are not going well. The plane is going to crash, and so the heroine thinks she's gonna die, and she confesses just everything to this man sitting next to her, even very personal things having to do with sex and intimacy and things like that. And so the plane does crash, but I think everyone's fine. And so then she shows up to, I believe, her new job, and she's working for this hockey team that, lo and behold, our hero is a part of. So that sounds really fun. I love romance plots like that. Next we have Heart of Iron by Beck McMaster. This is book 2 in her London Steampunk series. I recently read book 1, which is Kiss of Steel. I almost give it 5 stars. I love the vibe of this series. This combines, you know, a dark historical romance, think the Maiden Lane series by Elizabeth Hoyt, think Kerrigan Burns. Historical romances definitely have that dark vibe to it, as well as the steampunk paranormal vibe of books like The Infernal Devices by Cassandra Clare. Combining all these elements together is just so well done. Like, Beck McMaster knows what she's doing with this series. I'm not sure if this was her very first series that she published. I think nowadays she writes more fantasy romances. I'm just obsessed with the London steampunk vibe, and I've heard that the series just gets better and better as it goes along. I think this book in particular is a fan favorite, so very excited for that one. And all the audiobooks for this series are also on Hoopla if you are interested. Next we have Twisted Emotions by Cora Riley. This is book 2 in her Kimura Chronicles series. I read Twisted Loyalties, which is book 1 this past January. I didn't love it, but I've heard that books 2 and 3 are absolutely amazing. So I am going to continue on with the series for now, and will of course report back. Then we have The Rebel by Sophie Lark. I love the covers for the Kingmaker Chronicle series. Oh my goodness. But I've decided that I'm gonna read a book from this series every month. So in January, I am about to start The Heir, because we have a few days left in January, but I am gonna start The Heir very soon. And then I'm gonna read this in February. And I just love Sophie Lark's books so much. I really enjoyed the Brutal Birthright series when I read it last year. And this is another author who I just bought all of her audiobooks when Audible was having that crazy sale some months back, so I'm really happy to have access to the audiobook as well. I don't know what this one is about at all. Like, I've heard people talk about this installment, but most people gush about The Heir and The Bully, so I really don't know what this one's going to be about. But nonetheless, I am very, very excited. Then let's see, we just have a couple books left that I would love to get to in February. First of all is Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner. I recently read Waitlist by Candy Steiner a couple of days ago, and that one's more of a new adult romance that involves a personal trainer. By the way, I have recently realized that I am obsessed with personal trainer romances. So if you have recommendations, please leave those down in the comments below. Some of my favorite personal trainer romances are The Weight of It All by N.R. Walker, as well as Gym Bunny by Brianna Hale. Highly recommend those books. But this is Candy Steiner's most famous book. It is also her angstiest book. As far as I know, this takes place over at least like a decade or something like that. And it's one of those romances where it's like right person, wrong time, where through the years, one of them becomes available and the other person is in a relationship, and there's just so much going on. I know there's an iconic scene having to do with the heroine being engaged to someone else, and the hero gets her wedding invitation and he just shows up to her house and he like holds up the invitation and he's like, no. I'm excited. Oh my God. Candy Steiner, by the way, is amazing at marketing her own books. So I just want to read her like entire backlist ASAP because of her Instagram reels. They're just absolutely amazing. And then last but not least, I want to read Eleanor and Gray by Brittany Cherry. I have only read 2 books by Brittany Cherry, but I've given them both 5 stars, and they have both been some of my favorite romances that I've ever read. And so I just need to dive more into her backlist. I have a few of her audiobooks saved on my Audible app, and yeah, I need to read more. These books gut me, but they always put me back together by the end. I think this is another childhood friends to lovers romance like Behind the Bars was, which was my top favorite contemporary romance that I read last year. So I am just so excited. So that is going to be it for my February TBR. I am so pumped about all the books and all the readathons that are happening in February. Definitely leave a comment down below if you want to discuss any of the books that I mentioned, or if you want to talk about books that you want to read in February. I always love talking with you guys in the comments. I would also love it if you would leave a like and subscribe, and I thank you so much in advance if you do, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!